Okay, welcome. This evening I'm going to be sharpening this Filarmonica 14. This just arrived today, not my razor. I have a Filarmonica 14, but this one's pretty darn cool. This one is a Generation 2, which you can tell from the markings, the JMP signature on the tang, the double temple or doble temple, with a lyre in between, and then on the backside, made in Spain. But the real giveaway here is that the scales are in seafoam green. And seafoam green is definitely a mid-century mid-century as in mid-20th century, modern color. This is quite the cool razor. It belongs to a good friend. And so I want to get this out of the way and send it to him. I also thought I would use today to discuss a little bit, in my normal rambling style, my approach to sharpening razors and actually to sharpening everything that I do. It's just my approach for everything. I'm self-educated when it comes to sharpening. I basically read books, read forums, read articles, later watched YouTube videos. So I've just gathered information and incorporated it. So in terms of sharpening, that's information that I've gathered myself. But my approach is really derived from conversations with my good friend Jimmy, who he's been retired for a couple years, but he owned a very high volume sharpening business, and we would sit over cocktails and chat at length, boring anybody nearby, about different approaches to sharpening all kinds of objects. And his approach as a professional was always to let the item that you're sharpening tell you what to do. And I've certainly adopted that and have used it for about 15 years now. And what does that mean? Well, that means to before you start, observe the condition of, in this case, the razor, and determine what needs to be done before you even start, and then once you start, how to get to the desired end state. And so what's the desired end state? Well, that's probably obvious, but the desired end state is to have a very uniform apex that is sharp enough to cut well, but also strong enough not to wear out immediately. So you want to balance the amount of sharpening you do, so you don't create a very, very sharp but also very, very weak edge. And in practical terms, that's actually not too hard to do. All the standard tests that you see with tomatoes and grapes, and in my case packing peanuts, and also with hanging hair, they give you feedback in terms of sharpness about when you're there, when the sharpness of the razor is there. Now the steels vary, and the quality of steels vary, so you can't always get every steel to the same level of keenness, so that not every steel will pass the same tests. But I'm not going to go into that too much, because this steel is pretty darn fantastic, well known for being a terrific shaver, or for creating a terrific shave. I've already analyzed this razor. I laid it on a flat surface, and made sure that the entire edge makes contact with a flat surface on both sides. And then I inspected the edge under the microscope, and I will show you right now 3 microscope photos, one of the heel, the center of the razor, and of the toe. And these photographs were taken on one side of the razor, but they're symptomatic of what I saw on both sides. So I'm going to insert the 3 photographs right now. Okay, I'm back. And so, as I said, from a broad perspective, from a big picture perspective, I analyze what the condition of the razor is, figure out what has to be done to it. In those photos that I showed you, it's pretty clear, at least to me, that the razor would do with a good bevel set, a good remove the bad steel or remove steel that's at the existing bevel, and bring out fresh steel so that we can build a really nice edge. And so I'm going to do that. I have the 2K, the Shapton Glass 2K here. I do my bevel setting with this stone, which is an absolutely terrific stone in the Shapton Glass sequence, and I have most of these stones. So I'm going to do bevel setting on this stone, and you know, you might wonder, okay, so what's the deal? What's the deal with bevel setting? And I'll back up and talk about what we're trying to accomplish at this stage. So it's, I have mentioned this, and others have mentioned that the angle that you sharpen at, yeah, so the angle that you sharpen at is created, I'm not showing this at all, is created by where the spine hits the flat surface of the abrasive, and then where the edge hits. So the sharpening angle is created by those 2 points. And normally somebody draws that as you know, they'll draw the spine, and then they'll draw, you know, the edge as if the edge was coming out of the stone here, and then they'll say, okay, well, you know, this line, there's a razor inside, but these 2 lines form the angle at the bevel, and of course the bevel is down here. So if I blow that up, I've got, if this is a blow up of the bevel as we typically describe it, you can see that is pretty idealized. It isn't the case that that sharpening angle creates a form that is this pristine. Instead, and if it did, of course, we would probably only need 1 stone, but it doesn't. And so what does the real thing look like? Well, I don't know whether the eraser is going to work here or not, but the real thing, this surface which comes out of the stone isn't perfectly flat. There's going to be slight variations in that surface, and then the apex itself is going to be not going to be a point. And so the real question is, okay, so what causes this not to come down to a single point, which is actually a line that would extend out of the stone? But what causes that? Well, what causes that? A combination of things, but primarily what causes that is the abrasive in the stone. The abrasive in the stone has dimension, and the contact of the razor going across this abrasive prevents this from actually coming down all the way to a point. But the goal of setting a bevel is to establish this angle and to, in my case, to drive the refinement on this stone as far as the abrasive will permit. And for what it's worth, this is why you see all the counting systems do quite a bit of back and forth on this stone. Now, I don't think you actually need to do that much. You only need to do what's necessary. And so the next thing I'll go into is, okay, so what are you looking for? How do you know when you're done on this stone? And there's 3 pieces of information. The first is inspection. You want to inspect the edge and verify that you have an even scratch pattern all the way to the apex. That tells you that the abrasive is reaching the apex and forming the apex, and also that the plane of the bevel is being ground evenly. If that scratch pattern is even, then we would infer that the bevel is evenly abraded. Then the other thing is obviously the old sharpness test. Now this is the shave ready edge as I received it. You took a look at that shave ready edge, not to my standards. So, but anyway, you want to leave this stone, in this case the 2K stone, but the bevel setting stone, I believe you should leave this with enough sharpness to actually cut hair. And I test that with the packing peanut. Some people cut hair on their arms. Some people do the fingernail test. It really doesn't matter. They're all pretty good. But the key is not to leave the stone too early. You want to do all the work with the abrasive that lets you move the most efficiently. And so once this form is set optimally, then all you're doing with subsequent stones is to refine that. And what does refine mean? Well, refine means you are going to, abrasion removes material. So you're going to be removing material on the bevel, but the real goal is to, again, narrow this apex down to where the abrasive will let it go. And this is why we move through stages of stones. We don't want to jump from this 2K stone to a 12K stone, because in order for the 12K stone to abrade the 2K scratches and 2K apex down to where it should be, will take forever. So we're simply practical about it. In my case, I'm going to go from this 2K stone to a 4K synthetic. Then I'm going to transfer over to my Nakayama Maruka stone, and I'm going to use the Chu Nagara, and then I'm going to use the Koma Nagara, and then I'm going to go with Diamond Slurry, followed by my normal water and soapy water solution. So I think enough talking. I'm going to pause, get everything wetted down and ready to go, and then I'm going to start in again. Okay, back again. This stone was dry when I was doing all my yammering, and so I flattened it using the flattening stone here. And because I normally flatten, as I've said before, I flatten after I'm done, but then I do a quick touch up before I start, because as these stones dry down, they change shape slightly. And so I'm putting up a little slurry here. And I'm gonna get just a little bit of surface water on there, and we're gonna go to town. This is the 2K sharpen. I did tighten the pin on this razor. It was a little bit loose, doing the leading trailing business that I normally do. In addition to laying this flat, I also put it flat against a flat surface and looked to see if it was smiling or frowning. And it's got a nice, very, very gentle smile to it, which is what you want. Frowning is not what you want. Nobody wants to frown. That's bad. Using just enough pressure to keep the entire edge on the stone evenly. That contributes to that evenly braided bevel surface that I talked about earlier. That's what you want. If you have an evenly braided bevel, then in theory you have a nice uniform edge. I say in theory because there's actually very little data that's available. But I mean, some of this stuff is kind of common sense. Okay, so we're at a time when I think. So the other thing I forgot to mention was I look, in addition to the inspection of the bevel and the testing of the edge, feeling and watching how the razor behaves on the stone is the other thing. And so this is, you know, as I have in other videos, I'm watching the swarf move, and that's looking very good. So I don't need to be, I don't need to overdo this. So let's stop and do a test. If the test looks good, we're going to look at it under the microscope to make sure that I'm hitting everywhere on the bevel. That's the inspection of the pattern that I talked about. But you know, first things first, let's see if we're sharp. I'm going to see if there's any obvious burr, and there's not. All right, so let's see how we're doing. That's pretty good. Also pretty good. Yeah, I'd say that's where on this stone we want to be. At this level, a little bit of pressure is okay, but I'm not really applying much pressure. So I'm gonna pause, go take a look under the scope. If things look good, I'll take a photo. If not, I'll be back for a little bit more work. Needed to get things squared away. I will have inserted, before coming back here, I will have inserted 3 photos that I took, and those photos, the edge looks great. However, I can see that a little bit that the abrasive is at the toe, the abrasive is getting there, but barely. So I'm still on the 2K here, and I'm putting a little bit of work into the toe with a little pressure to make sure that the scratch pattern is getting all the way to the apex. What you see in that photo, you know, that's a magnification of 940 times, and so you would not see the anomaly that I showed you even with a 500x scope, and you're certainly not going to see it with a, you know, a loop, 100x or a 50x loop. So because it's so small, it's not going to take a lot of work here to make sure that that the toe is taken care of. And then I'm just going to go on to the 4K, and we'll recheck on the 4K. And we're going to do that now. I need to normalize this edge. Okay, that's enough. Let's move on. I think I'll pause you while I do the housekeeping here. Okay, I'm back. I now have the 4K with some slurry on it that I raised with the DMT diamond stone here. It's a fairly dense slurry at the moment, and the goal, as I said, is to refine the shape that we set with the 2K stone. And so what does that mean? That means we want to fully establish a 4K scratch pattern on the bevel, and we want to let the smaller abrasive narrow the size of that apex. I'm gonna start putting a little water here. I like the way that's moving. I like the way everything is moving across the stone. It feels pressure right at the edge, feels very even. I can feel good contact with the stone. You might wonder why I reach over and often put my hand at the center of the spine. That's because if you do this, there's a tendency for the center of the razor not to get equal pressure. So I simply move my hand around so that I can distribute pressure. All right, I think this is looking pretty good. I'm going to now test. I think what I'm going to do, actually, this is 4K, so I think I'm going to kill this edge and bring it back. To ensure I'm working with fresh metal. First of all, I let the weight of the blade take the edge away, and the 4K again being synthetic should bring this edge back very quickly. And as you can see, I already have nice slurry motion over the edge. Very nice contact. I'm thinking in terms of the making sure that the abrasive gets all the way to the toe, especially on the side, this side that's down, that side. That was where the photo was taken. The other side looked better. All right, so much of that I can do, and you can watch. Now you might. Now I may take a few strokes without any slurry, depending upon the sharpness test. If it's really good, then I won't. I'll just proceed, because I'm narrowing the I'm narrowing the apex, and I can let the next step in this process just continue doing that. So let's take a test. Very good. Okay, also very good. Very good. Okay, I think I will do a few laps with no slurry, and then I'm going to break again, just for documentary purposes. I'll break and take some more microscope photos. But I want to make sure that I want to make sure that this stone gets a chance to do as much work as it can, because the next stone is the Nakayama with Chu Nagura, and that's pretty aggressive, but look at that, that's just beautiful. That's just what you want. You see how hopefully you can see how the very light slurry is just popping over the edge. Okay, that's done. I'm going to pause you, go take a look on the microscope, take a photo probably of the center. If the whole edge is looking good, I'll just take a photo of the center. Maybe I'll take a photo of the toe to show the improvement. Okay, I will have shown you an image at the center of 4K scratch pattern, and an image at the toe showing that the toe is now repaired. We have very nice abrasion all the way to the edge. I have flattened and wetted this stone. I'm going to raise a Chu Nagura slurry on it. This, the idea here is now I'm moving to the JNAT. This is, as I mentioned, the Nakayama Maruka JNAT, and this step, I'll go from this Chu Nagura to the Koma here, then to a Tomo, and then to no slurry. And this step has to do with really just transferring from the synthetic scratch pattern to the JNAT scratch pattern. There should be and will be some degree of refinement because that's really all we're doing from now on. We've as I said before, we've set everything geometrically. Now the idea is to refine by removing small amounts of material and narrowing the edge at the apex. All right, so hopefully that's good enough. Let's see if that needs to be watered down a lot. I am certainly not a JNat pro. I view all of these stones as abrasive tools, which is a little bit of heresy. I'm sure anybody who is a devotee of JNats is just, you know, screaming at me. But that's how I see it. I mean, these are tools to me. This you know, as I mentioned in the Iwasaki video, this is a very expensive stone. It has pedigree coming from the Nawasaki mine, but you know, I use it using the knowledge that I've gained on how to manipulate abrasives, and I get very good edges. And so I'm you know, there may be that someone who's a real expert can explain to me how I can, you know, what changes I could make. I've certainly had lots of people suggest things, but those suggestions tend to be along the line of, you know, I do it this way. And my mind doesn't work that way. You know, if you have a suggestion, then you need to tell me why it's an improvement. What are the benefits, and how does it work? You know, that's what I'm attempting to tell you in you know, describing my approach. I'm attempting to say, you know, this is how things work, and in some cases, that's because I've done a lot of reading and have actually seen data. In other cases, it is based upon a model of behavior of the material that I have sort of constructed as a mental experiment, thought experiment. But all of those things, for me, create the results that I'm seeking. And as I mentioned before, I sharpen with intention. I have an idea of what I want that edge to be when I start, and that isn't always the sharpest possible, because that edge has to hold up to use. This is especially true when you do kitchen cutlery. When you sharpen kitchen cutlery, you can't have an edge that's like the sharpest edge ever that doesn't even make it through cutting one onion. So so that's what I'm about. I do enjoy JNats because I enjoy the feeling of them, and I enjoy this method of creating one slurry after another. I'm gonna water this down, take a few quick laps here. And then do our testing. I want to make sure there's no, yeah, I'm not feeling anything. One thing that you do worry about with natural stones, because the abrasive density and abrasive size are not controlled in these. Mother Nature controls them. So you know, occasionally a a rogue, large abrasive, which under a microscope would look like a, you know, a huge stone, a boulder. Occasionally you break one of those free, but I'm not feeling that. All right, let's test. Another thing I would say, if I have a lot of work to do, then I have ways of moving faster. But generally speaking, it's best not to rush when you're sharpening. It's best to be patient, take your time, let every stage take what it takes to develop your edge. Now, obviously, since I'm making a video and trying to say something semi-comprehensible, it's taken me longer. This is looking very good. I think I'm going to move on to the coma here. Oh, I'm going to take, I may not take a photo, but I am going to take a quick look at this. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go take a quick look at this, just to be for completeness. All right, I'll be back. All right, I took photos of the heel, center, and toe, showing the sandblast pattern, which is called a Kasumi finish, by the way, that the Chu Nagura gave. So you can compare and contrast that with the pattern that the synthetic stone leaves. I've cleaned the Nakayama stone, and I'm now applying a slurry of Koma Nagara. I'm fortunate that these stones lie flat. If they didn't, then you'd be seeing me sharpen like this, holding the stone in hand. But fortunately, the stones that I have either fit and lie flat enough that I can use them in the stone holder, or I modify them so that I can use them this way. Okay, that's quite a bit of slurry, hopefully. Okay, we want to start seeing improvement again. Leading and trailing. I'm not counting. Counting is not my thing. I am concentrating on even pressure, light pressure, but even pressure, and the feel of the steel on the stone. You probably can't hear it, but it's making it has a very velvety feel, and is making sort of a hissing sound as I move the blade through and over the slurry. We'll thin it up a little bit. Rolling pressure across the edge. Perhaps you can see that. This is to deburr. Definitely feeling slurry being pushed out from under the edge. I'm feeling a little bit of edge sticking already. Okay, so that's the coma. And let's see if we're sharper or duller, or they're about the same. About the same wouldn't be bad. No, that's sharper. That's sharper. Now you have to take my word for this, but I'm the one applying the pressure, and I'm basically just letting the razor touch the polystyrene peanut. I think the toe could improve a little bit. I'm going to continue to do a little work here on the toe. I actually have to, so when you do testing, you don't want to slice. The only way I could get that to slice to cut the packing peanut with low pressure was to add a slight slicing motion, and that's not what you want to do. You want to push cut. The rest of the tests were pretty good push cuts, but the last one on the toe that I did had a definite slicing motion. An edge will cut better if it slices than it will with a pure push cut. So a pure push cut is a better test, and I don't know if anybody else discusses that. This is not something I made up. There was even academic papers written. There was the Harvard Mechanical Engineering Department wrote a very interesting paper to both model, to collect empirical evidence, model it, compare the model with the results, and they published that paper. And I found it very interesting, but you're going to need some grad school level math to understand the model, but you need to be able to read to understand the conclusions. So it was pretty interesting, well, to me. All right, I think I'm going to test the toe again. That could have been bad. Luckily, it was not bad. All right, let's hang on. I'm going to pause you. My monitor here went out. Okay, time for a Tomo Nagura, or Nagura, I should say. raising this with the little diamond stone. I'm going to go easy on the, I'm not going to have a very thick slurry here. And that's the way I determine this is kind of by feel. The more slurry you have, the more intense is the abrasion. And we're feeling pretty darn good now, so I don't need, you know, what I need is I need to refine. So I need that, but I also need the slurry to be just a thin layer so that the edge can really be abraded between the slurry and the stone. But it feels really good. It's picking up slurry. I'm basically using the weight of the razor just to test. All right, I'm going to do a number of these passes, and the reason for that is to really normalize the bevels. And so what do I mean by that? So again, this stuff is not geometrically perfect. There's going to be slight variations across that bevel surface, and with a very hard stone like this and a very thin slurry, I'm doing what I can to keep that surface as uniform as possible, to have as few waves in it as possible. I'm also obviously doing what I can to reduce the apex. An interesting thing about Japanese stones, and I started to say this earlier, the more you know, the better. I don't really know the geology. I do know a little bit of the history, but that's been told to me. And the people who really know their stuff on these stones, I think their experience of using them is significantly improved. I'm just going by feel and experience in using slurries. And what I started to say is pretty much everybody who's an expert in Japanese natural stones will tell you that the slurry breaks down. And I've actually seen data. The only thing I've seen data-wise, hard facts, indicates the opposite. It indicates that the binder, the clay that holds the silicates in this stone, which are the abrasives, the clay breaks down, but evidence shows that the silicates do not. So, so I'm not sure if there's some other source of information with hard data, or whether this is again, you know, we're not able to really see everything going on here. So there is breaking down occurring. It's just in the clay binder and not in the silicates. And you know, perhaps all these years, that's what people have assumed is happening, because there is a breakdown and you can feel it. So anyway, kind of an interesting fact. All right, so this is feeling very good. Look, I have only a thin layer of abrasive here, and it's just popping up, which is what we want to see. make sure we're getting those toe sections done. Let's test. I'd say I'm having to push harder on the heel than I would like. There it goes. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'd say that's good. I'm going to I'll probably just take a photo of the center, assuming that both sides of the razor look the same. I'll just take a photo of the center of one side. I'll be right back. All right, I just realized that I forgot to do a photo after the coma slurry. But I did do a photo. The edge looks terrific everywhere, so I just did a photo at the center on this side. So it's the center right under the JMP, right under the medallion rather. Then coming back from the microscope, I did 25 laps on the fire hose linen strop to do some convexing, and let's check the, and you see that's much, well, you have to take my word for it. That's much better. Oops. That's really just much better. I'm literally just setting the edge against the polystyrene, and it's just moving in. So as usual, that alignment and micro convexing that the strap does really makes a difference. And I did it because I'm ready for the non-slurry steps here. So I'm going to wipe off. Hopefully you're, yep, still centered. Now I'm gonna just put a thin layer of water here. Do some laps on water, and then we'll do some laps on soapy water. And this is where I'm doing that thing of drawing the edge out. Nails on a chalkboard sort of sound here. And I'll explain in a minute again why I do this. Getting a lot of sticking. I was even getting sticking on the edge trailing strokes. Look at that. I'm going very slowly. I don't want the edge to stutter step. I think I'll put some more water here. Yeah, I mean, it just does not want to move. And as I've said before, this means nothing to me. I always feel like this is just a result of the bevel surface being so so tight to the surface of the stone that it pushes water out, which increases friction, which stops the razor. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's more that this stone can't give. So going to stop there. Going to put some water on and get some soap and go to town with the soapy solution. Make sure there's no stray particles on this surface. This surface needs to be good. Okay. Now I'm gonna do, you've seen me, if you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen me do this before. I'm actually, if anything, getting my pressure more on the spine and less on the bevel. I want the bevel to really ride on a thin layer of soap scum, and I want it to be polished. I'm thinking about polishing the bevel here and very ever so slightly narrowing that apex. Where I am going to do these. So the idea here, and this is me tinkering. You know, I don't know. I don't have any hard. I have hard evidence. I get better edges doing this. But I only have a model for what's going on. So recall that stropping performs three functions. It bends metal. There's a technical term for that, but we'll just say bends metal. It burnishes metal, which is moving the material, moving the surface material on top of the underlying material. And then it also will do whatever abrasion the stropping material provides. Now the burnishing and abrasion are small compared to bending. Normally we don't say that stropping bends, normally we say that stropping aligns. And so, so my model here is that these trailing edge strokes draw out the bevel. Stropping convexes the bevel. So the first stropping that I did convexed the bevel. And then working on the stone will very minimally abrade that, flatten that bevel again. And then after I'm done on the stone here, final stropping, which will be on both linen and leather, will bring back that micro-convex, but it'll be slightly smaller, giving a more apple seed look to the overall shape. And I find that not only is it screaming sharp, this is the way I get, for me, the most comfortable edges. So, you know, I've got no proof that that's what's going on. I don't have a way to look at it, but that's how I think about it, for what it's worth. All right. All right, let's wrap this baby. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So you can hopefully see how the second I move, the instant that I move, the soapy solution just pops up onto the blade. And that's not only do we want that everywhere, and that's what's happening. So that's really good. I'm going to do some quick X stroke laps here to do whatever normalization across the edge needs to be done. Sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice here. I don't have a cold or anything, but I have been talking all day, which given the way I ramble on, I'm sure that won't surprise you. All right. That just feels phenomenal. I mean, it's even trying to stick with the soapy solution. All right. I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause, take an image, strop. Well, I'll pause, strop, take an image, and then come back for final testing. Okay, just finished up stropping my Tony Miller bench strop that I have. Did 30 laps on the fire hose linen, and then I just did 60 laps on the steer hide leather. And so that edge should, according to my model, should now be pretty convexed, micro-convex. And this should be ideally, this will be a great test. I'll be pretty upset if it's not. Okay. Oh no, that's just like pushing into a cloud. Oh, and this is a fresh packing peanut. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's exactly, look at that. That's exactly what you want. I am I'm just putting the edge right to it. That's just amazing. Okay, this now needs a test shave. Sorry. This now needs a test shave. I'm going to put the final image of this edge at the end of the video, and then I will let you know. I'll come back after I've test shaved and let you know, whether the shave was good or not, and whether I thought, it needs more work. All right, thank you. Bye. All right, I'm back from the test shave. I found this razor to shave just as well as my own Filarmonica 14. The edge turned out terrifically. Very, very comfortable, extremely close. I think the owner of this razor will be very happy with it.